Have you ever stopped to think about what's happening beneath the surface of a forest floor?
Like, yeah, we all see the trees and the undergrowth and occasional squirrel running by.
Exactly. But under all that,
Right.
there's this hidden world
This entire sort of like network.
that we're only just beginning to understand.
Yeah, and it's crucial to everything that we see above ground.
Oh, absolutely. It's fundamental to the health of the whole forest.
Yeah.
But what's really fascinating is that even in the parts of this unseen universe that we thought we knew pretty well,
Right.
scientists are still making these incredible discoveries.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest recent examples is the discovery of not just one,
Right.
but 5 new species of fungi in the genus Piloderma.
And what's really cool right from the start is that these Piloderma fungi aren't some exotic, far-off organisms
Yeah.
in places like Sweden.
Right.
Many of them are actually incredibly common.
Right. So common.
So that really highlights how much more there is to learn
Yeah.
about the ecosystems all around us.
Exactly.
Even the ones that we think we know pretty well.
Like, you see these mushrooms all the time, but you don't realize there are so many different species.
And it's really an aha moment when you consider that what we thought was a relatively small group
Yeah.
has now effectively tripled in size
Right.
just with these recent findings,
Huge.
and some from last year.
And all detailed in this new study from Fungal Biology, which I know you've dug into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been really looking forward to diving into this one with you because I think it really highlights the importance of fungi in forest ecosystems.
Absolutely.
And how much we still have to learn about them.
It's like, a handful of people who are crucial to your neighborhood.
Right?
And suddenly you realize there are a whole lot more who are just as important. Or
Exactly.
even more so in
Yeah.
ways you hadn't even considered.
Yeah.
So our mission in this deep dive for you listening is to understand why these new fungal discoveries actually matter. What do they tell us about these intricate connections within our forests?
Yeah.
And are there any potential concerns that these findings might bring to light?
Right.
So we want to give you a clear, concise picture of why this is such an interesting development.
Okay, so let's start by looking at Piloderma itself.
Okay.
As we've mentioned, they're widespread,
Yeah.
especially in Swedish forests.
Mm-hmm.
But to truly grasp the significance of these new discoveries,
Right.
you really need to understand the critical role that Piloderma plays through mycorrhizal relationships.
And this is a big one. So
Yeah, this is really important.
I think our listeners who aren't, super familiar with mycorrhizae, maybe you can break it down for them. Like, what exactly is this relationship?
So imagine the roots of trees have limited reach to get the water and nutrients they need from the soil.
Okay, so they can only stretch out so far.
Exactly. And now picture tiny threads,
Okay.
these fungal hyphae,
Okay.
extending far beyond those roots, acting almost like a super efficient delivery system.
Mm. Oh, so they're like an extension of the root system.
Exactly. They're like this vast network that the tree can tap into.
Wow.
And they bring water and vital nutrients to the tree.
Okay.
And in return, the tree provides the fungi with sugars.
Oh, so it's like a trade.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship, a symbiosis.
Interesting. Okay, so for you listening, the key takeaway here is that this isn't just a helpful partnership.
Right.
It's absolutely fundamental to how forests work.
It's essential for the health and growth of the entire forest.
Exactly. And without these fungal allies,
Yeah.
trees would really struggle.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They would be much more vulnerable to drought
Right.
and disease.
And it's not just a few specific types of trees, right?
No, not at all.
Our sources emphasize that many Piloderma species are among the most common fungi in Sweden,
Right.
which suggests that this vital underground exchange is
Yeah.
happening on a massive scale
Exactly. It's happening all around us.
and impacting the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, it's really the foundation of the forest.
Oh, wow. So this widespread and crucial role really makes the recent identification of 5 new Piloderma species so noteworthy.
Yes, it really changes our perspective on this genus.
And it's reported in Fungal Biology.
That's right.
And this, combined with the 7 new species identified just last year,
Yeah,
forces us to kind of rethink what we know about this fungal group.
exactly. We have to reevaluate our understanding of its diversity.
Professor Martin Ryberg summed it up really well.
Oh, we did.
He said, quote, "We have long suspected that Piloderma species are important in mycorrhizal symbiosis and that their diversity is much greater than the number of named species suggested. It is rewarding to finally identify and name them so we can begin to understand and communicate more clearly clearly about these fungi,
Yeah, that quote really captures the excitement of discovery,
doesn't it?
and it highlights the dedication of scientists in uncovering these hidden aspects of nature.
Absolutely. And for you listening,
Yeah,
it shows you just how much work goes into simply identifying and naming the organisms around us.
right. It's not always as simple as it seems.
Now, one of these newly identified species, Piloderma fugax,
Ah, yes.
seems particularly intriguing.
It is a fascinating one.
It's not just another common fungus.
Right.
It seems to have a much more specific and perhaps more precarious existence.
Yes, so Piloderma fugax is quite rare.
Okay.
And so far, it has only been found in old-growth forests,
Interesting.
in very specific locations like near Gällivare in Sweden and in Trøndelag in Norway.
So very limited range.
Yes, very limited.
The ecologically significant part here for you is the link to old-growth forests.
Right.
These are really complex environments that have developed over centuries.
Yeah, they're like time capsules.
With unique conditions.
And the fact that P. fugax seems to be exclusively tied to these forests suggests that it has very particular needs.
Right. It can't just survive anywhere.
Exactly. It hasn't adapted to younger, managed forest environments.
So the name itself, fugax,
Yeah.
meaning shy, hidden, or fleeting in Latin,
Right.
really paints a picture, doesn't it?
It-
It speaks to how elusive this species has been,
Yeah.
likely because of its small size and the challenge of finding it within these old, intricate ecosystems.
Yeah, it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Now, Sten Svantesson, a key researcher in this work,
Yes.
shared a particularly thought-provoking observation about P. fugax.
You did. It's a really important point.
And it's something I think that you, the listener, should really consider.
So Svensson pointed out,
Okay.
I don't quote him here, it's interesting, but also a little frightening to see that in a genus like Piloderma, where we previously thought all species were common, there are such hidden old-growth forest species. They risk disappearing as the forest landscape is transformed from natural forests to plantations. Because of their insignificant size, no one has discovered them. I hope that our research can assist in making more people aware of and marvel at this kind of species in forests.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a powerful statement.
Yeah, for you listening.
Yeah.
As we consider these pressures on our forest landscapes, these tiny hidden organisms could be silently disappearing
Exactly.
due to habitat loss
And we wouldn't even know.
before we even knew they were there.
Yeah.
So the key insight here is that even in seemingly well-understood environments like Swedish forests,
Right.
there are entire species slipping away unnoticed.
It's a silent extinction crisis.
And this really underscores how much we don't know.
Yeah, and the importance of continued research.
And the potential for significant silent extinctions.
Exactly.
So we see this rare elusive species tied to old growth.
Right.
But interestingly, the researchers also identified a new species
Yeah,
that's kind of on the completely opposite end of the spectrum.
that's right.
Piloderma luminosum.
Now, this one is fascinating because it's actually quite common.
So not a shy hidden species at all.
Not at all. It's actually quite abundant.
Really?
Piloderma luminosum is described as a very common species,
Okay.
and it's often recognizable by its distinct luminous yellow to orange fruiting bodies.
So you can actually see it pretty easily.
Yeah, you can spot it if you know what you're looking for.
Interesting.
Now, what's particularly interesting here is that it was previously grouped together with another equally common species, Piloderma bicinum,
Okay.
as part of what they call the species complex.
You mentioned species complex.
Yeah.
Can you break that down a little bit?
So a species complex is a group of very closely related species
Okay.
that for a long time scientists thought were actually just a single species
Okay.
because they look so similar.
They can't tell them apart just by looking at them.
Exactly. It often takes more detailed analysis, like looking at their DNA,
Okay.
to realize that they are actually distinct
Interesting.
and don't interbreed.
So even though Piloderma luminosum and Piloderma bicinum
Yeah.
look quite alike
Right.
and often grow in the same areas,
They're very good at blending in.
their genetic makeup reveals a different story.
Exactly.
And for you listening,
Yeah.
this highlights the power of these modern scientific tools,
Right.
like DNA sequencing,
It's revolutionized our understanding of biodiversity.
in helping us refine our understanding of biodiversity.
Yeah.
Sten Svantesson also commented on why distinguishing these two common species is important.
He explained that, quote, these two species often grow right next to each other and are commonly occurring in soil and root tip samples. By distinguishing them as different species, their differentiation can now be investigated whether they have developed different niches or whether other factors have led to one original species becoming two.
So it's like realizing that two seemingly identical twins
Right.
might actually have very different personalities
Yeah,
and even different career paths.
exactly.
And for you, the process they used to differentiate them is also important to understand.
Yes, definitely.
They weren't just looking at how they appear physically.
Right.
They were comparing their DNA.
Yeah,
Think of DNA analysis as looking at the very blueprint of these organisms.
exactly. It's like looking at their instruction manual.
Even if they look similar externally, their genetic code can reveal that they're distinct and don't interbreed,
Yeah.
which is a key indicator of separate species.
It's one of the fundamental criteria for defining a species.
And then they use information from international gene databases,
Yes.
which are essentially collections of DNA information from soil and root samples from
Wow.
previous studies around the world,
Yeah, it's a global effort.
to get a clearer picture of where these species are found
Right.
and the kinds of environments they live in.
And it's a great example of collaboration in science.
Exactly.
By sharing and combining information,
Yeah.
researchers can develop a much more comprehensive understanding
Right.
of these organisms' distribution
Yeah.
and ecological roles.
Without having to start from scratch every time.
It's a much more efficient way to explore biodiversity.
So bringing it all together,
Yeah,
for you listening,
yeah,
it seems that the discovery of these 5 new Piloderma species,
right.
particularly the rare Piloderma fugax, really emphasizes the fragility of old-growth forest ecosystems.
Does.
The researchers themselves expressed concerns about the potential for these hidden species
Yeah,
to vanish as natural forests are converted into plantations
and that's a very real threat.
for timber.
Yeah,
And the fact that this research was funded by the Swedish Taxonomy Initiative
right.
really underscores the importance of this kind of fundamental work
Absolutely.
in understanding and ultimately protecting biodiversity.
We can't conserve what we don't know exists.
Exactly.
So these findings serve as a vital reminder
Yeah,
of the hidden world beneath our feet
right.
and the potential consequences of losing these habitats.
So to quickly recap for you listening,
Okay.
we've explored the surprising hidden diversity
Yeah,
within the seemingly well-known Piloderma fungi,
right.
highlighting that what we thought was a relatively small group
Yeah.
has now essentially tripled in size.
It's amazing.
And we've discussed the crucial ecological role these fungi play in keeping our forests healthy through those underground mycorrhizal networks.
Those intricate connections.
And we've touched on the potential dangers faced by rare old-growth dependent species like Piloderma fugax
Right.
due to the ongoing loss of their specific habitats.
It's a sobering thought.
Yeah, so to leave you with something to ponder,
Yeah.
if a group of fungi that we thought we knew reasonably well
Right.
can still yield such unexpected discoveries, what other unseen organisms might be playing absolutely vital,
Yeah.
yet currently unknown roles
Right.
in our ecosystems?
It's a question worth asking.
What is the true extent of the hidden biodiversity
Yeah.
that still remains to be understood by science?
And what are the potential consequences of the environmental changes we're seeing
Yeah.
on these intricate subterranean networks?
That we're only just beginning to truly appreciate.
It's a vast and mysterious world down there.
It really makes you think about the sheer complexity and wonder of the natural world.
It does.
And just how much there's still left for us to learn.
We've only scratched the surface.
Hopefully this deep dive has given you a new sense of appreciation for the hidden life beneath our feet
I hope so, too.
and a greater understanding of why efforts to conserve our natural environments
Yes.
are so incredibly important.
Absolutely crucial.
So thank you so much for listening.
And keep exploring.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you later.
Bye.